Happy to talk about the final day of the group stage with Danny Dichio from Soccer Central. We'll start with beloved England. We knew that Group G was going to come down to Belgium or England, and this match was to decide it. Did it play out the way you expected the game?
Well, yeah, it did play out exactly how I thought it was going to go. Maybe a goal coming into it was a factor because I thought there was going to be no goals in this game. But I think if you ask both coaches, both of them would admit that this was a useful exercise for both of their sides. But in all honesty, it was a little bit of a bore, to be quite honest, Brendan. Played out like a bit of a testimonial at times. Both guys hugging before the games. I know they're teammates for their club sides, but it was kind of a effect for both teams. And I think if you ask England, they'll be reasonably happy that they finished second. And if you ask Belgium, they like the matchup with Japan. And I think if we speak about the group stages more, that's where it really has an effect on both teams in the long run.
So much familiarity between the two teams, obviously, the players all playing in the Premier League for the most part. Were you surprised with how many changes Gareth Southgate made? Because he did make 8 changes, which is just one off the record. Yeah,
well, it was surprising because I think Hodgson made 9 at the last World Cup, is it? And even Martinez made 9 changes today. But I think it goes to show that Belgium's kind of depth is a little bit better than what England have to offer, because I wasn't impressed with England's side today. Not only the intensity and the tempo they played with, but they were rarely a threat on the counter or the attack, which they've been so good for, even set plays. But defensively, they looked a little bit shaky at times. So maybe some food for thought for Gareth Southgate, but Martinez would be reasonably happy with his squad and some of the players that he brought in today.
Now, you mentioned the bracket, Belgium being the group winners. That means that they will play Japan, which means that England are on the more favorable side of the bracket if you look at the other powerhouse teams. However, it does set them up with the last 16 matchup against Colombia, and that's going to be no easy test for England at all.
Not at all. And for me, the better matchup was against Japan. But I think the matchup against Colombia, even with an injured James Rodriguez, who went off in today's game as well, I just feel that this Colombia team are such a threat, where they have a lot of pace. They're very dynamic in the attack. Defensively, they're sound as well, led by Sanchez at the back. But there's some familiarity with these players as well. I mean, there's a lot of Tottenham players on the England team. There's a couple of Tottenham players on the Colombia team. It's going to be a really interesting game. Both teams going at it. But I don't really fancy England against Colombia for some reason, Dunlop.
Well, we'll see if James Rodriguez plays a factor in that match at all. It was a real concern when he left in their win against Senegal, but that win against Senegal confirmed them group winners. Knocking Senegal out, sadly, because the first team ever to go out because of fair play as the tiebreaker. They were level on every comparison with Japan, except for yellow cards. What's your take on that as being the tiebreaker?
My only argument is Senegal should have gone for it a little bit more during the match. They were a little bit defensive-minded. They were happy to soak up everything that Colombia were trying to go forwards with. And then it came down to a set piece, a corner kick, a fantastic header, and they're out of the tournament. And I think a couple of players, even in the last 10 minutes, didn't realise that they were out of the tournament. It's a devastating way to go out of the tournament. Fair play, yellow cards accumulated. To go out of the tournament and be the last African team as well in the tournament, out of it now. No African representatives now in the final stages. As you said, if it was my team that had gone out that way, I would be drinking a few more beers tonight.
First time since 1982, actually, that no African side made it past the first stage of the competition. And as far as CONCACAF is concerned, it looked like Panama were set for a historic win, but that wasn't meant to be, as Tunisia take care of them to finish up that group and to finish up their group stage as well. Danny Dichio, thanks so much for stopping by. I know you're not confident about England because I don't think you said we once in this conversation.